When the first starship appeared over the Pacific, no one believed the footage. The shimmering vessel, sleek, predatory, gliding silently through the stratosphere, looked too much like a movie rendered to be real. Even after the world's observatories confirmed it, even after militaries triggered global alerts, a collective instinctive denial smothered humanity. Because nothing that big, that deliberate, that alien had ever come so close. No one knew then that it wasn't humanity being hunted. It was humanity being evaluated. Beginning. The creatures who watched. Dr. Maren Hollis had been awake for 37 hours when the alien ship arrived. An astrobiologist by training and a catastrophist by temperament, she had spent her life predicting scenarios no one else wanted to consider. And yet even she was stunned when the ship released. Not weapons, not shuttles, but an array of tiny, needle-like drones that rained down across continents. The drones didn't explode, they didn't attack, they simply embedded themselves into soil, buildings, oceans, wildlife, and vanished, dispersing microscopic sensors into everything living. A biological survey, Maren whispered from the observation deck of the Pan-Pacific Research Station in Hawaii. They're studying the biosphere. Studying us, added Lieutenant Commander Rafe Calder, who stood stiff beside her. His fingers hovered near his holstered firearm, an instinct he couldn't suppress. Why? To prepare an invasion? Maren didn't answer, because she didn't know. For 48 hours, the drones continued their silent data assimilation. Nations scrambled jets, space forces mobilized, nuclear protocols whispered awake in the shadows. And then, just as suddenly as they had arrived, the drones disintegrated into harmless dust. That was when the ship spoke. A low-frequency hum vibrated through the oceans and the atmosphere, resonating in every human skull. Words materialized not through sound, but through the shared neural language of the alien minds touching humanity. We come as hunters, we seek prey. You will not fight. You will be taken. The world froze. Then, days later, something else appeared. Dozens of smaller alien vessels descended, not to attack cities, but to land in uninhabited regions, deserts, tundras, deep forests. Predatory squads of the creatures known as the Vur'kat emerged, towering reptilian beings armored in dark chitin. They carried blades that hummed like angry stars. Yet instead of marching on population centers, they began collecting wildlife. Tigers, bears, crocodiles, sharks, creatures at the top of Earth's food chain. The Vur'kat tore through ecosystems like zoological reapers. They harvested apex predators, tagging and testing them, forcing them into combat pits with alien beasts brought for comparison. And Earth's creatures fought back, savagely. The Vur'kat didn't expect that. The turning of the hunt. 3 days after landfall, Maren and Rafe were airlifted to the primary conflict zone near the Malaysian rainforest. Satellite imagery had shown something extraordinary. A hunting party of Vur'kat had been ambushed and driven into retreat by a single Bengal tigress protecting her cubs. When they arrived, human special forces were already there. 18 men and women standing at the jungle's edge, staring at the aftermath. One Vur'kat lay crushed against a tree, its armor shredded by claws. 2 others were dead from massive puncture wounds, their throats torn out. A 4th was barely alive, hissing in pain as it crawled toward its fallen weapon. "How did this happen?" Rafe muttered, disbelief tightening his voice. Colonel Arya Stone, commander of the ground unit, answered without looking at him. According to drone footage, the aliens tranquilized the tigress to test reaction times. It woke up early, very early, and she didn't take kindly to having her cubs messed with. Maren walked closer, examining the alien corpse. The Vur'kat were enormous, 8 feet tall, bulky with muscle, armored biologically like crustaceans, yet the wounds inflicted on them were unmistakably from earth claws and teeth. "These creatures expected prey," Maren murmured. "Instead they got territorial apex predators with millions of years of environmental specialization. Not just territorial," Rafe added grimly. Angry. As more encounters were documented, a pattern emerged. The Vur'kat battles with Earth's predators were not going as expected. A pod of orcas had capsized one of their smaller vessels. A silverback gorilla had broken the spine of a Vur'kat captain before dying from plasma wounds. And in Australia, well, Australia needed no explanation. Earth was a death planet, one evolution had shaped into a crucible of survival. The Vur'kat had come seeking easy prey. Instead, they found nightmares in fur, scale, and tooth. But the turning point, the moment the hunters became the hunted, arrived on day 9. The humans entered the arena. It happened in northern Canada, near an abandoned mining site the Vur'kat had converted into a testing ground. They brought captured wolves and pitted them against beasts from their homeworld, creatures bred to dominate prey populations across multiple planets. The wolves refused to break. Pack coordination, relentless endurance, and raw ferocity shocked the Vur'kat. Even when injured, the wolves remained tactical, working as a unified organism. One wolf escaped during the chaos and ran straight into a Canadian Special Operations patrol. The squad followed it back to the site, and what followed became the most replayed footage in human history. The Vur'kat spotted the soldiers and, assuming them to be lesser, unarmed prey, charged. They did not expect to face modern infantry armed with armor-piercing rounds, tactical drones, and decades of experience fighting insurgencies in brutal environments. The human squad didn't just fight, they dominated. Rafe was one of the soldiers who saw that footage as it was broadcast globally. He watched as Staff Sergeant Imogen Cade slid beneath a Vur'kat swipe, firing 3 rounds into its exposed joint, crippling it. Another soldier used a drone to distract a second Vur'kat before landing explosives beneath its armor plates. A third soldier plunged a combat knife into the soft tissue beneath a creature's jaw. The soldiers had tactics, coordination, technology, and, above all, an adaptive intelligence no other species had ever shown the Vur'kat. By the end of the skirmish, 6 alien hunters were dead. 2 more fled screaming into the snow. The galaxy's apex predators had finally met something they could neither predict nor overpower. The alien reaction. For the first time in known Vur'kat history, they hesitated. The flagship sent a new message to the human population. This one uncertain, strained. You are small, but you fight beyond reason. Your species defies expectation. Clarify, are you apex, or are you killers? It was Marin who crafted Earth's official response. We are survivors, we don't hunt for pleasure, but we are not prey, the aliens requested a parley. A meeting was arranged on the deck of their hovering flagship above the Pacific. Marin, Rafe, Colonel Stone, and a few diplomats ascended in a shuttle. When they entered the vast chamber, they found themselves surrounded by dozens of Vur'kat warriors, scarred, towering, humbled. The Vur'kat war chief, Rogar the Unbroken, stepped forward. His lower mandible bore a fresh scar, a slashing wound that looked distinctly human-made. You are anomaly, Rogar growled in rumbling English synthesized through a translator. Your world is dangerous. Your beasts cannot be controlled. Your people cannot be predicted. He gestured to a hologram, a map of Earth peppered with red battle markers. You killed hundreds of us when you should have hidden in fear. Why? Marin answered calmly. Because life on our world evolved through competition. We are children of predators. Every creature here fights to survive. We adapted, we innovated, and we protect our own. Rogar's eyes narrowed. You fight without fangs or claws. We have something better, she said. We have minds. There was a long silence. Finally, Rogar bowed his massive head, a gesture of respect among his kind. You are not prey, he conceded. You are apex, intelligent, dangerous. He looked around the chamber, his voice booming. The Vur'kat do not hunt equals, the predators who fled. As Marin and her team watched from the observation deck of the alien ship, the Vur'kat began withdrawing from Earth. Shuttles departed, hunting camps were dismantled, corpses of their fallen were retrieved and honored. The flagship announced its final message to humanity. We will leave your world. IT is too deadly for the hunt. Should we meet again, IT will not be as predators, but as those who remember defeat. And with a resonance that rippled through the oceans, the ships ascended, vanished into the clouds and then into the stars. Humanity had survived its first interstellar encounter by being more frightening than the invaders' ending, aftermath of the hunt. The departure of the Vur'kat did not mark an era of celebration, but of reflection. Humanity had learned something terrifying about itself. In Washington, Marin addressed the United Nations as the world listened. The aliens didn't leave because we were peaceful, she said. They left because we were too aggressive to be prey. She looked out across the assembly. Earth is a world of astounding beauty, but also astonishing brutality. We survived the Vur'kat not through diplomacy, but because our planet's life forms, animals and humans alike, have evolved to be fighters, survivors, killers when necessary. Her words echoed through global broadcasts. If another species comes, one not bound by the Vur'kat's code of honor, they won't be frightened, they'll be prepared. Meanwhile, soldiers around the world trained using footage from the alien encounters. Wildlife conservation efforts surged, recognizing that Earth's predators were more resilient and valuable than humanity had known. The tigress who had killed 3 Vur'kat became a symbol, her holographic statue erected in Kuala Lumpur with the inscription, "She protected her own." Rafe, now reassigned to a multinational defense initiative, worked alongside scientists developing early warning systems for extraterrestrial incursions. He often sat with Marin during late shifts, watching the stars. "Do you think they'll come back?" he asked one night. "The Vur'kat," Marin said. "Maybe, but not to fight. They'll tell stories about us. About the prey that wasn't prey, and others?" She exhaled slowly. "Others will come eventually, but thanks to the Vur'kat, we had a rehearsal. Above them, the night sky shimmered with possibilities, some dangerous, some wondrous. The legend of Earth, far beyond human telescopes, in the nebula-rich territories of the Vur'kat homeworld, the story spread quickly, whispered at first, then shared openly among war chiefs. Finally carved into the pillars of their Hall of Hunts, the world of teeth, the planet of impossible spirits, the humans who turned and fought, no longer a backwater blue marble in a forgotten arm of the galaxy. Earth became a myth, a place where hunters fled, where small creatures with soft skin and fragile bones wielded willpower like a weapon, where cooperation could topple giants. A place where even the fiercest predator chose retreat. A warning to any who traveled the stars seeking easy prey. Epilogue: The New Watchers. 6 months after the Vur'kat fled, astronomers detected faint energy signatures at the edge of the solar system, far smaller than the Vur'kat vessels, but undeniably artificial. A probe, watching, studying. When Rafe and Marin reviewed the data, they exchanged a single look, not of fear, but of readiness.
"Species?" Rafe asked.
"Probably," Marin replied, "but this time, they'll know better than to underestimate us." She turned off the monitor and stood. "Because the Vur'kat learned the truth for all of them." Rafe raised an eyebrow. "And what truth is that?" Marin smiled faintly, recalling the words she had spoken to Rogar, the words that defined humanity's legacy among the stars. "We are not prey." And somewhere beyond the horizon, the next chapter of Earth's interstellar story quietly began, watched by creatures who would one day learn what the Vur'kat learned the hard way, that the little blue world at the edge of the galaxy was not a hunting ground. It was a battlefield, a crucible, a birthplace of apex beings clothed in vulnerability, wrapped in intelligence, and armed with something more terrifying than fangs, unbreakable will. And that was why the predators fled.